comes to chicken, I'm your guy.
I'll have what Joseph has.
Look, somebody's talking about you.
This is what we call the voice of God.
Popping.
Everybody just gets to focus on you.
Grab me.
Probably not the best thing for an introvert.
I'm asking for you.
Well, I like a good chicken sandwich.
Touch me. Hi, David. Comment.
Oh my God.
Like.
You're actually an identical twin.
Push.
Maybe I'll just ask Julie to talk about what it is to be an identical twin.
Pick me up.
No, you didn't.
Shouting.
Surprise! Jeremiah, just hang on a second. I just got a text.
There's an edit for your new opening, Joseph.
I feel really honored to have been here, man.
But by the way, you've done a masterful job. Seriously.
And it was such a joy.
Thanks, Joseph. It's an honor.
Good on you. This was a pleasure.
I mean, you are the prime example of how to pivot in this new environment.
I wish everybody gets an opportunity to interact with Joseph Jaffe.
Who needs Cameo when I've got my own personal Cameo? Well, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's May 25th, and it is a happy day because it is a day when Content Inc. returns to the bookshelves. Joe Pulizzi returns to the show, and it's a day to celebrate. It's a day to celebrate the fact that it is National Wine Day. Who wouldn't be happy when it's National Wine Day? I think last year on May 25th, I also chose National Wine Day. And in fact, the last year of my life, pretty much every day has been National Wine Day. Well, of course, the color of wine is red. And they say if you have at least one glass of wine every day, you will grow to a ripe old age. And I certainly hope that that is true when we think about the red of wine and the red of a heart, because today is 28 days until the surgery on June 22nd. 28 days. My sister is born on the 28th. I feel like 28 is a really good number. And I think many of you know that I've been trying to tie my creator coin, find a use case, almost a GoFundMe use case, but tie it back to the show. It's been amazing to see who's come out the woodwork and who supported me. I've been beyond humbled. You can support me by going to rally.io/creators/Jaffe, but I want to thank these people already. David Berkowitz, who took out a heart of gold. Kevin Sturmer, I didn't even know who he was before Clubhouse. Big heart. My mom, who took out a big heart as well. I can promise you the heart that you've shown me, I don't take it for granted. And I hope that I can continue to give you value in many different ways as well. And it's not just people through Creator Coin, it's people through Stripe and Venmo and Cash App and all the people that are just sending me thoughts and prayers and tips. You know, I'm only too happy to acknowledge you, and I'm so humbled by all of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And as always, 10% of anything that I take in through the Creator Coin will go to the Mitral Foundation, a foundation that I didn't know existed before, had no relevance in my life, but now it's a pretty important one for me. So happy birthday to Alan Brody, Adrian Smith, Daniel Roy, Bradley Haugen. Hope you guys are doing well today. And without further ado, let's focus on the man. Let's focus on Joe Pulizzi. He's the author and the author of Content Inc., the founder of The Tilt, and just all around nice guy, friend, I would say, colleague, fellow creator, and just a man that oozes hope, positivity, and optimism. More on him in a moment, but first we're going to embarrass him just a little bit more with a soliloquy that I am calling today Tilt. And you will see why in just a brief moment. So, Bob Cialdini, the godfather of influence, was just on the show. He's just re-released a new edition of his seminal book, Influence. In it, he introduces the new principle of unity. As part of his rollout, he sent a document with a plethora of new use cases, illustrations, and the like. 2 of them caught my eye: customization or personalization, and the importance of little things that make a lasting and significant impact. So immediately I thought of Joe Pulizzi, who coincidentally is the godfather of content. Well, he is now, because it's been immortalized in the streaming archives of the show. Joe has just re-released a new edition of his seminal book, Content Inc. In fact, today is the launch day, and I'm beyond honored and humbled that he chose to spend part of it with me. Leading up to the launch, he emailed me a form which asked me my favorite kind of cookie. I should have responded anything with chocolate sprinkles, more on that later, but I answered M&Ms as I knew this would be my kids' preference. And so in the mail, I received a brightly colored orange box, more on that later as well, with my M&M cookies, a handwritten note, and a personally autographed copy of the book with a little post-it note that took me to page 101 titled Trial and Error. The paragraph referenced myself and my show. It's the first time my show has been put into a book. And it documents how I launched it on multiple platforms at once to see which would resonate the most. We actually discussed this on his first appearance on the show. And since that discussion, my core base has become YouTube for now. Joe compared my show to the launch of his Content Marketing Revolution blog. I'm clearly in the best of company, and I'm not worthy. This, ladies and gentlemen, is influence. Influence is not about popularity. It's about trust. It's about leadership. It's about empathy. This is content strategy in action, dynamic, alive, and authentic. This is the way to launch a book. And in case you weren't taking notes, I'll recap. Write down every single person you mention in your book, and then figure out a unique, personal, and on-brand way to reach out and organically enlist them as part of your revolution. Please note that nowhere did Joe ask for anything back in return. That's how you tilt the universe in your favor. So I say to Joe, bravo, maestro. And by the way, to all of you, don't forget the cookies. Well, now it's time to bring him onto the show. And, I have to tell you that I said, Joe, how am I going to introduce you? And he said, well, you know me already. So that's all he did. And I was like, well, that's I don't think that's good enough. I still, for the 3 people in the world that don't know who Joe is, Joe Pulizzi is the Amazon best-selling author of Content Inc., Killing Marketing and Epic Content Marketing, which was named a must-read business book by Fortune magazine. His novel, The Will to Die, which we discussed last time he was on the show, was awarded Best Suspense Book of 2020 by the National Indie Excellence Awards. Joe's latest version of Content Inc. will be released today. He has founded 4 companies, including digital content news site The Tilt, as well as Content Marketing Institute. In 2014, he received the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Content Council. His podcast series, This Old Marketing with Robert Rose, we're not talking about Robert Rose being the old marketing, I hope, has millions of downloads from over 150 countries. His foundation, The Orange Effect, delivers speech therapy and technology services to children in over 35 states. The man is a mensch. Let's welcome him back to the show, Mr. Joe Pulizzi.
I am honored. And that you would have me on my launch day. What can I say? And plus, where did you find the chocolate sprinkles mention?
You know what? There is a lot more chocolate sprinkles. By the way, I love chocolate sprinkles. I also love them.
You and I have that in common. That I have it might be a sickness as it relates to the amount of chocolate sprinkles. My ratio of chocolate sprinkles to ice cream is unnatural. That's the issue.
I literally drown my ice cream in chocolate. Well, I think my kids used to call them chocolate ants.
Whatever it takes. How are you? How are you, sir? It's great to chat with you today.
Well,
this will be fun.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. Mr. Mark Masters is here. He says, "Happy Tuesday, watching in the car while my daughter is in a dancing class." Mr. Bob Farnham gives us a little heart. And Tom Morris is saying hello to Anne, Bob, Stephen, all. By the way, Tom Morris, I have to show you something. Look at what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my T-shirt that Tom Morris sent me. It says Valvoline, and I didn't quite get the joke until about 3 days ago when I realized, I'm having a mitral valve repaired. So, Valvoline also gets to give me some energy and gas and the power to keep going. So thank you to Tom. So what's going on in your life? Let me tell you.
Oh, well, I golfed 100 holes yesterday from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. 100 holes of golf. It's our second annual for Orange Effect. It's our biggest fundraiser, actually. But it's fun until about 3 rounds. And then you're just desperate to do whatever you have to do to make it through the rest of the rest. I don't think I've
ever heard that. You played over 100 holes of golf yesterday.
I played 100 holes of golf, and what happened was, last year when the pandemic hit, we were struggling at Orange Effect Foundation like a lot of other not-for-profits, and we're like, okay, well, what do we do in these historic times, as they say? And on our fundraising team, a good friend of mine, Mike Balzano, came up with the idea of saying, hey, well, we could do something safe with minimal amount of golfers. Let's try this 100 holes in one day. Can we make this happen? And it took off, and it is now, second year in a row. We've generated over $100,000 now. And it's unbelievable first of all, just how people are so generous with their time. But second of all, that this is just a crazy idea that people got behind. So we had 26 golfers make the tour in Elyria, Ohio yesterday, and we did it. And I need more Aleve, is what I'm finding out right now, or wine, because it's National Wine Day, so I should be drinking wine.
Exactly. Chip Griffin says it would take me 100 hours to play 1 hole of golf. So there you go. I can tell you, when I play golf, I have a 2-drink maximum and a 2-drink minimum as well. I find out that's the sweet spot when I actually stop caring about how bad I actually am, and I enjoy myself.
Yeah, it's I cannot drink on the golf course, especially when you're golfing that much. But it was, and then I don't know, I guess it's the poor planner in me, but who plans to do 100 holes of golf and then launches their book on the next day? It's just silly, Joseph. So,
well, let me tell you. I'll tell you what is silly. Last week, Andy Storch was on the show, and within 2 days, he launched his new book, and then he had a testicle removed. For wow. So I mean, I would say you're.
I don't think I can. Yeah, I'm gonna stop complaining.
Exactly, you're second.
I'm telling you, you can't feel sorry for yourself when somebody has a testicle removed.
No, you're like, listen. And no. you played 100 golf, holes, and you left with both testicles intact. So it was a good day, my friend. It was a good day.
I honestly did not see that coming. I'm glad.
No, I don't think, nor did he.
I thought we were going to talk about a lot of things, but
nor did he.
It wasn't one of them. Yeah,
I'll tell you what we will talk about. We'll talk about. I told you that I was. That there's going to be a lot of embarrassing. So here is the orange box that I received. There's the orange box. Inside are my beautiful M&M cookies. Have a look at that.
They're still there.
Yeah, because I was waiting for you to be on my show today. Now I can eat them.
Yes, thank goodness.
This is like an unboxing. A beautiful handwritten note that says, Joseph, thank you for all the support, my friend. Keep doing amazing things. Be epic. And but the best part of it was this beautiful orange book with a little post-it and or little tab that takes me to page 105, and the mention of this.
Which you have a new name now. It's not
Yeah,
called
well,
Corona TV anymore.
Well, you can't say what the name is. The name will be revealed on Thursday. But yeah, so everything will be revealed on Thursday as I launch the new show. But it was amazing. I mean, this for me, and being in your book will be one of the most special things of the last year and a half, because, when you see something in writing, it really validates it. It makes it real. It's not just a project anymore. It's my life. And when someone that I trust and respect, like you, in this book, which is like a Bible, it is very much like a content Bible, puts it down, it legitimizes and validates it and me. So it means a lot to me, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you. I mean, actually, the example is I remember we were talking about it on the last show, and that hit me, and I'm like, there are a lot of people struggling out there that don't necessarily know what the platform should be for them. And we had that discussion, and it sounds like YouTube is going to be the way that you're leaning. Can I ask, have you seen some good data that are driving the folks to YouTube? What's going on there?
No, so actually, what I love most about YouTube, in particular, so now what I've started to do, is one of the reasons I stopped mentioning the name of the show, which you may or may not have mentioned just now, the old name, is that I found that I was struggling to promote the show, and it just kept on getting rejected. And now I'm in a good groove where I can put $30 or $40 against every day's episode, and start to at least expose the messaging, to people, and 40, 50,000 impressions and several hundred up to 1,000, 2,000 views. I feel like what it's doing is it's giving that little bit of boost. I'm okay to promote the show. I mean, that was the whole point, is how do you break out of your bubble, your silo, your inner circle? Sometimes we get trapped in those bubbles, but most importantly is subscriptions are ticking along. And that's the metric, right? The metric is people that, it's not a frivolous thing to subscribe to a YouTube channel. It means you're going to be alerted and on a daily show, that can inundate and spam you if it's not relevant, or it can be a very timely reminder if it is relevant. So that's, and the other thing, Joe, is the archive. The archive is the treasure trove. That's the gold mine. And it's not just for other people, it's for me even. It's the ability that when I want to find the show, that when you were on the show last, I can just go and search. So in a way, like, I'm grateful to YouTube, if for nothing else, than the fact that they're storing gigabytes upon gigabytes and hundreds upon hundreds of my show, making it very easily searchable. And, and I'll say one more thing, having someone like Robin DiAngelo, who wrote White Fragility, every few days, somebody else makes a comment that basically calls her, a charlatan, a hack, and a grifter. And then on the other hand, you'll get another comment going, looks like someone with white privilege can't handle the truth. So you just sit back and you just watch the long tail taking effect, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, if you think about whether you want to call it an archive or call it your content library, look at most content initiatives. I mean, I started doing webinars in 2000, so it's been 21 years ago we actually started doing webinars. And if you think about, the majority of people tune into a webinar after the day and time. Generally 60 to 70% of the people watch it after the fact. If you look at a blog post, same thing. If you look at a podcast, you'll get 85% of the people listening to a podcast episode a week after it's been produced. So I don't think people think that, it has to be. No, the consistency is key. We know that. If you're not consistent with your content delivery, you're not going to build an audience over time. But shoot, I remember writing, what is content marketing? I wrote in April 26, 2007. And as far as I know, that one blog post still gets 1,000 people a day.
Amazing.
14 years later.
Wow.
And they're still getting new subscribers every day from one, 950 word blog post that was written 14 years ago. So I don't think people, we don't talk about that enough. I'm glad you brought that up. It's so important.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned 14 years later, because we were talking on the show last time. I took the dog for a walk yesterday, and I listened to the podcast, the audio version of the show, and so there were a bunch of things that kind of caught my eye or caught my ear. One is you spoke about a time when you had more hair. And so I thought to myself, I wonder what Joe looked like when he had more hair. And so I was able to go back, not only the sleuths that were able to pick up the chocolate sprinkles reference, but I found out an image of you when you had more hair. And here it is. Can you believe it?
Oh my God.
Can you actually believe this was you with more hair?
That was, I was into a lot of Vanilla Ice at the time. And also
Tiger King, by the way,
and Tiger King, and oddly, maybe one of the Backstreet Boys. I don't know what it is.
So
yeah, yes. Now I get the Tiger King thing.
There you go. I mean, this is what happens when good people do bad things with Photoshop.
When good people, or Photoshop or Canva, whatever you're using. That some people should not have those tools.
Exactly. It should be taken. It should be taken away from me.
Yes.
Well, I'm not done with you yet, because there were two more fun facts, and they are definitely not embarrassing like the first one. But the first thing we found out about you is exactly the point about those chocolate sprinkles. So an ode, we've discussed that already. We don't have to go more, but I do, just for you, I've got chocolate sprinkles everywhere today.
Oh my goodness.
So, we can celebrate Joe Pulizzi, the chocolate Ant-Man, the Tiger King, the chocolate sprinkle king, the godfather of influence. But something that's a little bit, I think, more sublime is this story. It actually was something that you had mentioned. We didn't discuss it, but it was part of the last show. And I just wanted to hear the story, which is before the first Content Marketing World, you were getting into an orange NASA jumpsuit to come on stage. And I read this and I didn't quite understand. It said your wife came back and we were smiling and crying that you did it. And David, Mim, and Scott saw everything. What am I missing? What do people need to know about the story that that ended up with you and your wife sharing this moment, smiling, crying? Why the jumpsuit? Tell us about the story.
Well, that was. I forget a lot of things, Joseph, but I'll always remember that moment that happened. So, I mean, it goes back to the first day I left corporate America. My wife and I sort of made a pact and said, I kept talking about starting a business. This is in 2006. And she said, look, you either have to start a business or stop talking about it, because this is becoming a problem. And I said, okay, I will make a decision whether to go or no go by the end of the first quarter, 2007. Well, my last day in corporate America was the last day of March in 2007, and April 1st of the next day, I started what became ultimately Content Marketing Institute. We had some really tough times right around 2009. The financial model wasn't working. The product mix wasn't working for what I wanted to launch at the time. I didn't even tell a lot of people I'm sort of looking for a job. We had 2 small kids. I mean, it's not as bad as, some of the things we've talked about before, but it was, I felt sorry for myself. I thought I could launch a business. It didn't work. And then, pivoted the business and came back to this idea of Content Marketing Institute. Still, okay, it was something. Content marketing was picking up. I didn't think it was going to make it, having the confidence we do as entrepreneurs. But when Content Marketing World launched, that's the picture from that. So Content Marketing World, the opening keynote was about to start. I was kicking off the entire conference. So this is September of 2011. And I'm supposed to do my opening, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce David Meerman Scott, who is generous enough to agree to keynote a conference that didn't exist before, to a guy that wasn't very well known. Basically tried to convince him to speak at the conference. And we were behind the stage. There wasn't really a place to change or get into. So that's where I was getting into the NASA jumpsuit, because I was, I had this orange thing going. There's a NASA location right next to Cleveland, Ohio. I was doing this whole bit on NASA, and I look out into the audience, and we were just, Joseph, we were just hoping for, I get 100 people to come to Cleveland, Ohio. Could it to do an event? Is it a possibility? Well, I look out, my wife and I see this. There's over 600 people in the audience, and we actually ended up making money on that. I mean, this is things that should not have happened.
Amazing.
For content marketing world. And I'm getting dressed, and my wife's there, and we looked at each other, and it was like that was the first time we thought we made it. I wouldn't have to go find another job. We wouldn't have to struggle figuring something out. That was it. And so we looked at each other. We're both crying. I'm like, don't make me cry, because I got to go up on stage. And Meerman Scott standing right next to us, just taking it all in. I don't even know what he was thinking, but if you ask him about it, he'll remember that time. But it's just funny, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs have a moment when, oh, this is the aha moment, or this is the moment. So it was 4 years plus. But it was that moment, looking out and saying, we got 600 people to come to Cleveland. Look at this amazing community. I'm in an orange jumpsuit, David Meerman Scott here, and maybe we actually have a thing, and we can go and continue to do this. So that's the story behind it.
And the rest is history. So the crowds are going wild, just like they were applauding you back then. So in a way, that's your origin. That's your origin story. That's your, or maybe I should say not your origin, but your origin story. Yeah. That was your origin. It was the very beginning. What is the importance of the color orange to you? Because it is quite clear that orange is an important part of your life, whether it's the jumpsuit, whether it's the color of the book, whether it's the foundation. So I would love to hear why this color is so important to you.
And it was totally accidental. My favorite color used to be purple, believe it or not. I had purple shirts and I have a little bit of an obsessive nature, so I kind of go all in on stuff. But when we launched the business colors were orange and gray. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do as a business owner? Are you supposed to wear the company colors? So I bought, my wife and I bought all these orange shirts. And when I would go around and do speaking, or when I got my first photo shoot for LinkedIn and God knows what else, I had it in an orange shirt. So, okay, I'm doing my thing. Fast forward. So 2007, fast forward to the end of 2008, I got my first international paid speaking gig in Brussels, Belgium. I'm so excited. I never really gotten paid to do a speaking gig before, and then never got paid to, oh, you're going to pay my travel to go to Belgium? Like, really? That's a thing? I couldn't believe it. So they're going ahead and do that. But they said, Joe, there's one problem. You have to wear a black tuxedo for the thing. It's a whole black and white color affair, whatever. But I don't know. I was like, I'll wear whatever you want. If you're paying me to come and give the speech in Brussels, whatever you want. I'll wear a monkey suit. I don't care what you want me to do. So, okay, I said, didn't wear the orange, went up, did the speech like I normally do on content marketing that nobody knew what the heck it was. And I come down off stage and I'm starting to talk, and the people were nice enough who could, speak English were coming up and talking to me. And I had 3 people, I kid you not, Joseph, that came up to me and said, why aren't you wearing orange? And I'm baffled. I don't even know why, why are you asking me this question? I don't know the relevance. And I said, I'm sorry, why do you ask me that? And they said, well, every picture I've ever seen of you online and everything, it's always been orange. So I thought that you had a thing for orange. And I'm like, well, now I get it. That's true. Because every picture of me online up to that starting the business I was wearing the color orange. And I said, I think this is a thing. I think that, if you remember Mari Smith at the time, always went turquoise. Everything was turquoise. She had turquoise dress on and she went all in on that. And I said, well, maybe this is a business opportunity. And from that moment on, off the deep end in orange. If you look in my closet, it's like the scene from Pulp Fiction when they open up the briefcase and it's like shines an orange bright light out of it. That's my closet, because you can't find anything that's not orange in that closet. And then people started to affiliate us at Content Marketing Institute with it. And it was sort of HubSpot and us. We were fighting for orange around content and inbound for, quite a few years going forward. But I can tell you, I kid you not, the number of scenarios that have come up, different I mean, you look for any way to differentiate yourself, right? You know, we've talked about that before, Joseph. Whatever you can do, orange was something that we could do. So we went all in by it. It significantly helped my career, helped the business. And it's probably every couple of weeks, I'll get somebody that sends me some orange tchotchke in the mail. They're like, oh, Joe, I saw this. I have 4 or 5 pairs. I have 4 or 5 pairs of shoes. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I don't own orange, but I mean, that's.
No, you do. I have the bill of sale, the deed.
You've seen it.
You know, Joe.
I have 4 or 5 pairs of shoes that people have sent me. And I'm like, who does that? It's amazing. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think I need to figure out my color, but you know, there is a great little blurb, a little sound bite in what you just said, which is this. I think this is a thing. And it's a beautiful, beautiful little phrase, because so many people, I think, are not open to things, right? To things that could be a thing. You know, they believe that they have their own Pantone colors of, you know, metaphorically, and you were just open to the universe, right? You were open to possibilities. And when somebody said, wait a second, you were like, well, maybe it is. And I think not many people can do that. Not many people can change direction or you know, or pivot or swivel or shift or be able to say, wait a second, the world, you know, or someone's trying to tell me something. And it's just it's a beautiful thing for people to like realize that, you know, that if they stay open and if they're listening, actively listening, then they can figure out exactly what their thing is going to be. And by the way, Shimon Ben Ayun said Joe is the man in orange, and it was a nice experience. Was he your host? I've spoken at his events too.
Yeah, I mean, we've run into Shimon. How many events have you done? We've run into each other all over the place. It is absolutely amazing. The one thing that I want to follow up on what you said, because I didn't used to be as open. When I launched the business, I had a very particular business in mind. We wanted to do the eHarmony for content marketing. I want to do this matching service. I thought it was going to be the greatest thing ever. But by 2009, when I had no more confidence, when the business model wasn't working, I became so failure makes you open to a lot of opportunities. And I started to look around and say, well, maybe if I just open myself up to what my blog subscribers were saying, what my audience was saying, that's the idea for Content Marketing Institute. It wasn't my idea. It was the audience that we had. They were telling me, Joe, can you do training? Joe, you know, is there an event? So we were just going forward with other people's ideas. So now, even with the launch of the Tilt, I don't even have a formal revenue plan right now, because I'm waiting to build the audience, and the audience will tell us exactly what they want and what they will buy. So I'm completely open to any changes that go on in the world right now, because I don't know of another way to launch a business. So.
Well, I mean, I think most people right now are taking notes, saying this is how you launch a business. You know, by actually just being in the flow and letting your audience be the current, I guess, is the best way to synthesize all that. Tom Morris says it's like David Rindle and pink. It's good to have a color. If Joe's given up on purple, maybe I'll take that. The royal color, the color of philosophy, and on and on. And I actually found, this is your quote, by the way, today, because there's always a quote. Your quote is, orange is the happiest color.
Frank Sinatra, said that.
Are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm telling you. Frank Sinatra said that.
You are telling me correct. It is Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I didn't know that was. I totally missed the bit on that one.
No, I mean, I was ready for it. I was.
You're amazing.
No, but I mean, and you are happy. I mean, I wonder whether orange helped you. You know, who influenced whom. But generally, what I get from you is the energy that you give off is happiness. There is it's not a tilt, it's a lilt, right? There's something about you. You're always smiling, and you're happy. And maybe the happy entrepreneur is the North Star for us, because with all the failure, the bumps, the curveballs, the stuff that goes wrong, it's maybe happiness that will keep us on track at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you have a lot more to teach about that when we were talking before the show about you going through the heart surgery and the attitude that you've taken. a lot of what we do is a choice on our attitude. You can choose to be a certain way. You can choose to treat people a certain way, or you can choose to be a gift to people, or you can choose to ask questions to other people instead of, that's the thing that I've learned, I think, is when you and I have been to enough conferences, when we go around and talk to people, when people come up to you and then you ask them a question, are they not the most delighted people in the world? Don't they think that's amazing? Like, you've given them a gift, even though they're coming up to talk to you because you've made an impact on their life. And I say, how have you used that, Joseph? And they're like, what's it, has it made an impact in your life in a positive way? Tell me about that. That makes me happy too. So, I mean, that's, if you have a little bit to give, which is about all I've got, but if you got a little bit to give, then, why not do it that way instead of going the way? And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are very successful, who are very unhappy, nasty people, and they're making a choice. They're making a choice whether or not they want to do that. So, and I think maybe it came to that humbling moment launching the business where, you can choose to get up and try to be a positive influence on other people's lives, or you can choose to just be a big old grump and you can just live that way.
Yeah.
So why not choose the way that's going to make the world a better place?
Beautifully said, because, it doesn't have to be an or, it can be an and. Stephen just said, "Orange, you glad?" He said that. I mean, that was always coming. We just we had to anticipate the pun as well. So I'm glad it was Stephen. And Tom philosophically says it's better to bring happiness than to wait for happiness, and that's another choice. I will, before the puns overtake us, there was one more thing from our wonderful interview, and I really do encourage people to go back and watch that or rewatch that, because I did, and I really loved it. And speaking of attitude, and speaking of positivity, and speaking of all of what we're talking about, is this idea of energy. And you spoke about content energy, which I just thought was a tremendous thought that stuck with me then and still now. And so I just wanted to play that little sound bite. Okay. And then when we're done with that, we're going to just talk about a little book that just launched. What's the time? Right now. So this was the bite from our show.
My big recommendation is, now is the perfect time to start killing some of those activities that aren't additive to the customer relationship or to your company. So, the way I like to put it is, you only have so much content energy. If you had, think of it like a chocolate bar, right? You're going to take that Hershey's chocolate bar, you're going to break it up into a bunch of pieces. That's all you have for content energy. So most organizations will take one piece and they put it to each thing. And they say, oh, we're going to have a mediocre webinar series. We're going to have a so-so blog. We're going to have a really awful e-newsletter. So they basically become mediocre. People will be scared to do that. They're like, oh my God, we have to do the blog. Do you have to do the blog? If you packed up all that blog content and put it in a box and shipped it away, would any of your customers notice at all? Probably not. Wow. That man is passionate.
Let me tell you how much editing had to take place in order to make you look intelligent, Joe.
I'm like, how did you make that happen? Those are even my words.
7 hours and 42 minutes that I had to distort in 50 seconds.
You were brilliant.
Well, I'll tell you what is not mediocre or so-so is Content Inc. And I would love for you to tell us about what is new and improved besides the minty fresh breath additive.
Well, I can tell you the normal things, right? I can say that the model's been updated. I can say that if you're a content creator and you're looking to create a loyal audience over time and build a sustainable business, the Content Inc. is the book for you. I like it for small businesses that are trying to build an audience so they can sell more stuff. I like it for large enterprises that are trying to build, some kind of podcast or do something in their organization to make change happen. I really like it for content creators on the web, which is my whole thing about content entrepreneurs that are trying to actually build a business. That's really what the book is for. So all new case studies, all that stuff, same old. But the second version, probably the halfway through and back, the section of how you take the business to the next level is all new. I go through how I looked at an exit plan. Exit planning starts with when you start the business. A lot of people don't realize that. What does an exit plan look like? How do you take the business to the next level? Do you want to sell it? And I go through the whole sales process from when we sold Content Marketing Institute and all the things that you have to think of to either become a big big enterprise of any kind that have a content arm, or that you want to sell it and exit and do something else. And it's probably, Joseph, the most timely book I've ever written, because as you know, we've talked, I mean, they just did a research study not long ago and said, what do most kids want to be today? And they were researched, and they don't want to be astronauts anymore. They want to be YouTubers, or they want to be celebrity influencers. Well, that's all fine and good, but most of those YouTubers and celebrity influencers don't have a business model. That's why I stopped writing mystery novels and started on this thing again and launched a new business, because I've got nothing better to do, right? I really believe that there's a whole lot of content creators out there doing stuff on Twitch and TikTok and whatever, and have no clue how to build a sustainable business when it is possible that they do that. And that's why I love Content Inc. I think that's the model. I think you follow the model. I really believe if you start with A, go to Z, 5 years later, if you do everything right, the way we talk about, you could have a $5 million valuation. If money's in it, if you're in it for, financial stability, I think it is possible to do that. So I really believe in the book. I'll give it to anybody who wants to do it. I love any, YouTube kids or Twitch streamers that are just like, oh yeah, I can make all my money off of YouTube or whatever. I'm like, no, you can't. You have to diversify your revenue. Here's 9 different ways to do that. Here's how you have to think about long-term. Here's how you have to think about email. There is a business model that media companies have been following since the dawn of time. And that's what this is.
I will say 2 things, which is, the first is a quote that I heard, which I really internalized, which is, and I'm sure you've heard this many times as well, which is, when if you treat it as a hobby, you'll be paid as if it was a hobby. If you treat it as a business, you'll be paid as if it was a business.
That's right.
And that's the one thing. The other thing is, not to be like too cynical about it, but it seems like the only people that really make money in the space are the people that are, that are kind of on the sides, helping you grow your follower count, your popularity. There are many people that are facilitating maybe the wrong metrics, because what you're doing is coming along saying, no, fundamentals, foundation, framework, and create something that can produce and endure and scale, other than just looking at vanity metrics. For the most part, to me, what is so seminal is you, like myself, have chosen to really lean into the creator economy.
Yep.
And so I'm going to just put a couple of little exhibits on the table and scroll through them. But there is the essence of tilt. And what is a content tilt? There is this Content Inc. model. There is the creator economy. There's your new business. There's your creator coin. All of the above, you haven't just gone into this with one horse in the race. You pretty much have all the horses in the race. So where do we begin? Do we begin with the actual model, and specifically the idea of what is a content tilt? Maybe let's start there, and then we can talk a little bit about creator coins, and we can talk about also the business, the tilt, and the services and solutions you're now applying to creators.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the content tilt is the best place to start, which is, you're right. That's why we named that's why I went out and paid some money to get the tilt.com. I believe in it that much. The content tilt is probably, not having one is the reason why most companies fail. There's no hook. There's no differentiation. Just Google cloud computing, for example, and you'll see results from Microsoft and Amazon and Salesforce and Oracle. They all say the same thing. I could take content off of Amazon's page and plug it into Salesforce's page, and you'd never know the difference. There's no differentiation there. Why are you creating the content you're creating? What makes you special? And how are you going to break through all the clutter out there? Which is, our content tilt when we started in 2007 was content marketing. We changed the story. If you're thinking about one, it's like, okay, maybe I'm going to differentiate because I'm focusing on a different audience that no one else is focused on. I'm going to differentiate. We had this conversation because I'm going to go with a different platform that no one else is creating. I was talking to a group of accountants this morning, and we were talking about platform differentiation. And I said, you know what? There's no accountants on Twitch right now. And I was talking about Hassan, how Hassan became this political juggernaut because he was the first one on Twitch, streaming from Twitch, politics. Everything up to that point has been gamers. So now he's the number one political commentator in the world, almost, if you look at numbers, because he went to Twitch. So there's lots of different ways to do it, but people don't think enough about, oh, here's what I want to sell. Here's my story. Here's what I want to talk about. You have to say, none of that matters unless you figure out what the hook is. So what is it? So you have to spend some time there. It's not just about, oh, here's what I'm good at talking about. Here's my audience's desire. That's the sweet spot. But the second thing is you have to really spend some time and say, why am I different? And with the tilt with our new business, we're putting everything we got into this thing called Content Entrepreneur. If you probably see me talk about it everywhere. Move from content creator to content entrepreneur. That's the business. That's what the book is about. When somebody asks me, I'm like, if you're a content creator, here's how you become a content entrepreneur. No one is using that term, by the way, Joseph. So hopefully maybe when we talk about it in a year, that might be the dominant term, because I'm not a fan of creator economy at all. I don't like creator economy. I don't like passion economy. I don't think they're appropriate words for business owners to use. I think it's about being a content entrepreneur. So that's our tilt. So that's where that all starts. If you get that wrong and you follow all the rest of the steps of the Content Inc. model, you're not going to be successful.
And I love it because, that is, it's not just differentiation. It's a point of view.
Yes.
It's a point of view that is backed up in action, in execution, and in consistency. I personally have been using the term streaming era. My focus actually, and what I've realized is there are 4 buckets converging for me. Have I come up with something as sublime as content entrepreneur? Not yet, but I know what the buckets are. And for me, and I will, with apologies to the phrase you hate, the creator economy, the streaming era, crypto and the creator coins. And then the fourth one is the whole DEI space, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yes.
And without, a lot will be revealed on Thursday. But it's those 4 things coming together that will become my tilt, I hope, with the new show. So it is convergence, but with, let's say, with purpose and a plan. And that, I guess, is my content tilt.
Well, that's the fact that you're planning it will make the difference. Most people don't plan it, or they say, I mean, you and I have been in so many of these corporate meetings. It's terrible when they say, we're going to talk about this and we're going to talk about this and we're going to talk about this. And by the time they're done, you're like, who cares? Who cares? If you're just going to inform. I love you're right about, we talk about this in the book, about the idea of point of view. You have to, maybe that's what makes me a little bit different, because I'm the one on the web that's going around to people and say, stop using create. I have no problem with creator economy. I use the hashtag. I just don't think it's correct, because I don't like how the focus of creator economy is business owners having to leverage platforms for their revenue. I cannot stand that. And the other thing is, I'm focusing on content creators, and creators on eBay and Etsy are also in that creator economy. That's a totally different model, if you ask me. So I can't differentiate that. That doesn't make sense. I don't like passion economy, because you don't have to be passionate to build a successful content entrepreneur business. But anyways, I think that
but the point
it doesn't take long. Yeah.
But the point of view is so important. And it comes back to another thing that's been very influential in my life was a story that basically, I'll just skip to the punchline, but it involved a visionary, a creative person saying, this is my point of view. You may not agree with me, but hopefully you'll respect me for it. And I think that's the difference. The difference is we don't have to agree with one another, but the fact that we have that point of view and are prepared to actually back it up, that earns respect. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing that we don't talk enough about, which is respect, respecting hard work, respecting consistency, respecting a point of view. and you hit all of the above.
Well, I think a lot of people, Ann Hanley talks about this all the time, about the idea of excluding audience. You don't want all the audience. You actually want people not to be your audience. So, because that means there's an opportunity for people that should really be your audience. So if you're vanilla, if you're focusing on, I want to build the largest audience possible, I'm not in the business of that. That's too difficult to do. That's network television, folks. It's not going to work anymore. You have to focus on being great for someone, being amazing, being indispensable for one group. Means you're not worthy of this other group of people, which we've seen how some people can become really, really famous and influential by doing that. But hopefully, we will use our content powers for good and not for evil. So those are the things that you have to remember. It's okay not to have everyone subscribe to your YouTube channel. You actually don't want that.
I mean, it comes back even to, in the customer experience business, this idea that says not everyone can be your customer, and fire your customer.
Yep.
But again, it's a point of view. If you one of the little sound bites that actually came from Jeremy Tucker, who's the chief marketing officer of Planet Fitness. He said the problem with vanilla, you're going to love this one, Joe. He said the problem with vanilla, well, first of all, it's the most popular flavor, but no one will ever drive across town for it. Don't you love that?
That's so good.
I love that.
That's very true. Well, I mean, shoot, we had a lot of team conversations about, how much orange is Joe going to wear in content marketing world. I mean, I'm really dressing up looking like a peacock out there, and it's strange. And sometimes it's not comfortable, but we're really catering to the audience that we're looking for, this very, very passionate content creator audience, and an amazing community. So I think that's part of it, right? If you're going to find your content tilt, you have to focus on, yes, here's the audience I'm targeting. Here's what keeps them up at night. Here's their pain points. And also, I don't want these people. That's not going to happen. I'm not good for them. That's not who I serve. Maybe that's a way to look at it, Joseph. Who do you serve? Like, really, who do you serve? Who do you get up every day? Like, I don't get up. I'm not getting up today. Today's the launch of Content Inc. I'm not getting up today to sell books of Content Inc. Right? We all want that as authors. We want to sell a bunch of books. I wrote that book to serve content creators. I don't know if I'm going to make any money off it. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure we get the books. And I think the world will be a better place if more people get that book and can be entrepreneurs instead of having to work for other companies. So I'm in to serve an audience. So anybody listening to this, think about, what audience do you serve? Really think hard about it. Be as specific with that niche as you possibly can. And if you get up every day serving an audience, you probably will be successful.
And I serve my community. I serve the people that are watching, and I serve you, Joe. I serve my guests.
Yeah.
This show always has been about my guest. And it's funny, the overriding and overwhelming feedback that I'm getting recently. At the beginning, it was like, it began with, "You're not a crap interviewer." And then it became like, "You're a really good interviewer." And then, "You're a really great listener," which only made me laugh because, my wife was like, "The problem with you, Joe, is you don't listen at the beginning." But now here, talk about orange, right? Here's what people are telling me. And if I'm open to feedback from the universe, right, then I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to build that. They keep telling me, every single guest, that was fun. So instead of going, fun, no, this is not meant to be fun. This is meant to be serious and intense and thought leadership and, no, fun. They're having fun. Why not have fun and do an interview and look good and promote your stuff? So maybe that's part of the message too, right? Which is have fun, make money.
I don't know. We always talk about being the informational or educational resource for your industry. I think it's not an or. I think it's an informational and entertainment resource. Business people are consumers too, right? They always talk about business consumers as different from regular consumers. I'm like, business consumers are regular consumers. They're not different. We treat them as different. We treat them, you're going to get the boring white paper. No. Their experience is an Amazon experience, right? So don't we have to give them something and raise our expectations a little bit? And I think we have to do that.
Well, we're going to talk about in our final 5 minutes before you go into your, you continue your roadshow, your journey.
Moving on. Yes.
You're moving on, but you know, you can still be my first three-peat guest at some point. Something to look forward to.
That.
But I have a question. Two more things that involve either fun and or orange. So, and I realize now that there's a lot of orange on your Tilt, on your creator page as well. Are you having fun with your creator coin with Tilt? And what would you want people to take away from the journey so far? And you know, certainly the last couple of weeks have been a little, shall we say, volatile.
Well, yeah, if you're anything in crypto is volatile these days, but look in the longer time horizon, that's important. So we're serving content creators, we're serving content entrepreneurs, and I believe that Creator Coin is part of that solution. I think you do as well. Obviously, Joseph, you're doing some great things with the heart surgery program as well. So we are going all in. And I've told the team this. I'm like, somebody has to figure this out and how they can build an economy that's more than just one place. It has to be more than just Twitch or more than just Patreon. I think it has to be a diversified solution where a media company can go in and use Creator Coin as the underlying economy for everything they do. I think that we can do that at the Tilt. I'm at least willing to try, and everyone on the Tilt and our team has the patience to do that. So we're going to do that. We put a lot of effort into it. We've got a full strategic plan rolling out in the next 3 months. Every time you forward get a Tilt referral for our newsletter, you get paid in Tilt coin. It is a regular thing. We've got a lot of people that are becoming supporters because they share our newsletter. We've got other things happening pretty shortly. So I'm a believer in it. And I at least am going to give it 120% to see if we can make it happen, because I think it's actually a thing. And the reason why I do is I've never seen people get as excited as they are about a thing like Creator Coin and like in a media company or a newsletter. Like people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You gave me some Tilt coin. This is great. Or I learned some. This is fantastic. You don't see that very often, Joseph. So I think there's something there. I'm going to move forward. I think we can build an economy out of it. We're starting to actually pay our writers in Tilt coin as well, which is something. So we want to, I want to soup to nuts. We want to build the whole thing in Tilt coin. People get training and use Tilt coin for that. All our products and service, merchandise, everything will run through Tilt coin. We're probably 12 to 18 months out from full integration. I think we'll get there, and I think it's going to be something special.
And as you say, the key phrase is having a plan. So, you know, my plan is to figure out how to elevate the Jaffe coin to I would say Tilt-like levels. I'm going to tilt the Jaffe in the direction of Tilt. But it's been fascinating and it's great. And if people are paying attention, and I know they are, really what's happening is, you know, as the old saying goes, you can't be half pregnant, right? This is your universal currency, and it's glorious because it doesn't matter whether you live in the US, the UK, South Africa, etc. Everything, you know, everything can be part of this. It can be paid, it can be tipped, it can be gifted, it can be just the equivalent of, hey, just thinking of you, or wow, that was a great show. Here's something in return as well. And I'm starting to see it, and I call it, you know, micro. It's micro payments and micro tipping. It is the micro that actually also excites me. So it's not top down, right, Joe? It's one Tilt. You know, yesterday we had this on the show was, how do you scale intimacy? And the answer was kind of one smile at a time, you know, or one appointment at a time. Here is, how do you grow an economy, and the answer is one Tilt at a time, or one Jaffe at a time.
Well, the one thing I like about this is I can say, okay, well, because you've been such a great supporter of mine, Joe, so if I can send you $100 in Tilt coin right at the end of this, and I can also say, I'm going to support your efforts and contribute to Jaffe coin, and I'm going to do this right after the show. And a lot of people can't do this, but look what we've just done. Like you can't do that normally, right? I mean, you could do it through gift cards and money, but I think it's different because the Creator coin, it means more to the creator and more to the supporter. So,
and look, I would say, and by the way, not only am I thanking you in advance, but I will say that that receiving Jaffe coin or Tilt coin, actually, I would say in third place is receiving an M&M cookie. In second place is receiving a Jaffe coin, but in first place is receiving a Tilt coin. Joe, before we go, we're at the hour, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the Orange Effect Foundation. And as you do that, I'll also flash up different ways that people can interact with you, connect with you. And I can promise you that if you are looking to turn your creator passions into a viable, sustainable, scalable business, then Joe is your man, and certainly the Tilt is your plan. How about that? But tell us about the Orange Effect Foundation.
Yeah, thank you. The Orange Effect Foundation, something my wife and I have been active with, finding anything that we can do to get kids speech therapy where their families can't afford it. Our oldest son, was born on the spectrum, so we're very familiar with this. Aggressive speech therapy got him to a point where now he's going to be a sophomore in college. He's doing very, very well. That wouldn't have been possible without speech therapy. So a lot of families out there that have to decide whether or not should I pay for consistent speech therapy for my child, or should I, put dinner on the table? They're going to choose dinner on the table. So we are a fundraising organization. So all of the 100% of everything that we get, just past our paying for the people that work on our great team, it goes directly to helping kids with speech therapy. TheOrangeEffect.org. You can go there and check us out. We'll take any donations. I think we've got 250 grants out to kids in 35 states right now. We have way more applications that we can serve. So we need more funding so that we can get more speech therapy to the kids that need it.
This has been Joe Pulizzi, the chocolate sprinkled tiger orange Aranya king. Joe, we wish you just incredible, deserved, validated, differentiated, point of view, respect earned, success in Content Inc., in the Tilt, in all things Orange. If you haven't already, please do go to the Tilt and subscribe and be a part of this. It's a movement. It's a revolution. Please go out there and support the book, support Joe, support all of his efforts, ultimately to create a revolution that is inclusive of creators and exclusive of the people that really, quite frankly, should be excluded, because not everyone can be your customer. How about that?
Hey, I'm counting down. I'm with you every way to the 28 days. So thoughts and prayers with you, my friend. Thank you again for all your support.
I appreciate that. And I don't remember the first time if Chuck Norris approved of you. Did he?
I don't remember that.
Well, guess what he has to say about you now, Joe Pulizzi.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
There you go. You're approved. For those of you that want to come join me on Zoom, I'm going to go into Zoom, bit.ly/Zoom after show. I will put that on just to hang out with a few of the regulars. I haven't done that in a while. Joe, good luck to you, my friend, and I will see you around.
Thank you, Joseph. I'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.